Hey, how's it going, everybody? This is Leverbolt76. I'm Chad, and today we're going to talk about the 303 Savage. You know it outperformed the 3030 Winchester. Alright, let's get after it. So the 303 was the first commercial cartridge to use smokeless powder. Now some people say that it came out 4 months before the 3030 Winchester. I could not find any information confirming one way or the other. My guess is that Winchester and Savage were probably keeping a pretty close eye on each other and racing to get their cartridge out first. Now the 303 slightly outperformed the 3030 Winchester. And when they were released to the general public, the Savage had a 190 grain bullet, whereas the Winchester was released with a 170 grain bullet. So the thing was, Arthur Savage understood that he had a pretty big obstacle to overcome. The old idea of the inefficient black powders with large caliber, slow moving bullets, as opposed to this new idea of the smaller 30 caliber bullets moving at a higher velocity, convincing the public that that was going to perform better and knock down animals better than these large caliber black powder bullets. It was going to be a difficult task. And so he started with his advertising and doing his best to convince people that you could kill deer, elk, moose, bears, even a whale in one instance with one shot with his 303 Savage. So at this time, the 303 wasn't just competing with the 3030 Winchester. You also had the old 4570 Government, the 5090, the 5100, the 5110, all the different Sharps cartridges. You had the 3040 Krag, which was also smokeless powder. So the 303 Savage definitely had its work cut out for it. But as a hunting cartridge, I think it did very well for itself. If we go through the chart, I've got a couple black powder cartridges on here, and then the first smokeless powder cartridge from the U.S. military, the 3040 Krag, which was released in 1892, and then we've got the 3030 Winchester and the 303 Savage. And as you can see, as we go through this chart, the 303 Savage did slightly outperform the 3030. Although nominal, it still did perform better. You had, at the barrel, you had about 200 pounds more energy and just a little bit more velocity. And then if we go out to 200 yards, they've almost leveled out with one another. But again, you've got a little bit more velocity and a little bit more energy. Although once we're getting down to 800 and some odd pounds at 200 yards, both of them are running out of gas fast. But the thing is with this, getting away from these inefficient black powder cartridges was really a big step, I think, in the right direction. And let's talk about the rifle. This is a model 1899H carbine version 1-2, chambered in 303 Savage and manufactured in 1926. Let me first say that this isn't the best example of a Model 99 rifle, and I'm sure collectors have already seen this, but the stock's been refinished. If you look on top there, it's been drilled and tapped for scope mounts, and they didn't do that at the factory, not in 1926 anyway. But it's the example I have of a 303, and that's the one we're going to use. So, how do I know that this gun is everything that I say it is? Well, first let's start by the year of manufacture. 1926. You've got your serial number on the bottom. Now you can punch that into a couple different websites, or there's books out there, different resources that will tell you your year of manufacture based off of your serial number. Next, we have the Model H part. So the Model H was made for guides, or anybody really, but it was more of a economy rifle that you could scratch and bang around and not feel bad about it at the end of the day if you hurt it some. So what they used was a cheaper wood than walnut. Some people call it gum wood, or some people say that it's ash. I don't really know. It was a lighter colored wood as opposed to walnut. It was a durable wood, as you can see. On the back here, it doesn't have the typical crack on the tang if a rifle was shot a lot, and this one was shot a fair amount, I believe, and there's no crack on the tang. So I think that whatever this wood is, it was durable, but they used what they called a shotgun style buttstock. It doesn't have the typical side plates that you would see on a Savage rifle, and on the front, on the forend, there's no schnabel on the tip. It's just straight. So they were cutting those processes out of manufacturing so that they could make it a little bit more economically. Now we move on to the carbine part of it. And so as you can see, it has a short 20-inch barrel, which Savage, as far as I know, only used on their carbine models, as well as the Rocky Mountain style knife edge front sight and Rocky Mountain rear sight, and the carbine style butt plate. And this particular rifle, of course, for a Model 99, you've got your cartridge counter on there, which all of them had. Okay, so within this particular rifle, this is an interesting one, and Model 99s are interesting in the sense that almost no two are identical to one another. They're almost like fingerprints. But this particular rifle, you had the H designation, and then you had the version 1, version 2, and then dash 1, 2, 3. So over a span of several years, this economy rifle, they made quite a few different variations and dash codes after that. So this one is kind of a fun one to try and figure out what exactly it is. So you've got to look at things. I mean, they all had this basically the same stock with this Model H. Some of them had different butt plates. Some of them had different front sights. This one in particular has a medium. They made a light and a standard barrel on it. So it's interesting in the sense that you can, as from a collector point of view, that you can go through all these little variations on every rifle to find out exactly what Model 99 that you actually have. But one of the things that's even more fun than collecting and trying to find out your specific Model 99 Savage is actually going out and shooting it. So let's go do that. Okay, well, we made it out to the range. Just to give you a quick update, I intended on shooting this thing at 100 yards on paper and showing that, but between the open sights and my eyes, at 100 yards, I really wasn't doing much better than a 6-inch group, so I didn't think anybody would really want to see that. So at any rate, we're at the 200-yard range, and I'm going to get this thing loaded up and see if we can ring some steel out there. All right. You can see with this rotary counter, even though this gun's almost 100 years old, these shells feed in there just as smooth as can be. Go ahead and get my earplugs in and my glasses on and see if we can get anything at 200. That sounded pretty good. That sounded pretty good. All right, well, we're ringing still at 200 yards. You can't ask for much more than that, I don't think, out of a dang near 100-year-old gun. Well, that's it for today. Thanks for watching, and please subscribe.